Listen to him. Listen to him. Jesus is speaking. Listen to him. Observe the law, Moses. Listen to the prophets, Elijah. Listen to him. What about the first reading on Sunday? This is why full of message too. Full of message. First reading. What is this about? I gave you Genesis 22. Now listen to this. This is the, I know on Sunday you will hear this, but that's just about it. But this is the message that you need to hear about Genesis 22. God tested Abraham. Come on, bring your son Isaac. Remember, when this happened, when this took place, Abraham had already lost one son. Right? And who was that son he lost? Ishmael. The son's name was Ishmael. And the mother's name was Hagar. So Hagar and the son Ishmael with Abraham, the servant woman. And they were vanished. What's Abraham's wife's name? At first Sarai became Sarah. Okay? So they were vanished. So now Abraham was left with only Isaac as the son. And then God asked him, take your son and go to Mount Moriah. Where's Mount Moriah? Mount Moriah is equal to Mount Zion. Mount Moriah is the same as Mount Zion. Jerusalem. And where's Mount Zion?
Jerusalem.
That's where the Islamic temple is now, the Dome of the Rock. That rock is Mount Zion.
Jerusalem.
The Jews call it Mount Zion. The descendants of Ishmael call it Mount Moriah. That's where Abraham was supposed to offer Isaac, his only son. That's why, because Jerusalem is up the mountain. You have to go to Jerusalem, you have to go up to Jerusalem. It's elevated. Now, this is the thing. In Genesis 22, God really tested Abraham. Not many people can pass the test. Your only son, Isaac, was on the way up, was asking, where's the lamb? Where's the offering? Don't worry, God will provide the offering. Keep on. When they got to the place, they built the altar. They had the wood pieces to be burned. And then asked Isaac to lie down. Isaac turned out to be the offering. And with a knife. Abraham was equipped with a knife. When he was ready to strike his own son Isaac, of course God stopped him. And Abraham, you know the rest of the story. Abraham passed the test. And God changed his name to Abraham, and he became, and God says, you will be the father of many nations. Your descendants will be countless. Okay, very well. Now, what is the significance of this with the transfiguration? Here's the significance. God stopped Abraham from killing his own only son, Isaac. And what did God do in the end? What did God do in the end? His own son, God's only son, became the sacrifice. Imagine. God didn't allow Abraham to slaughter his own son, and yet he allowed his own son, only son, Jesus Christ, to be the sacrifice, to be the lamb, to be sacrificed at the altar. The altar of Mount Calvary. See the beauty of that? God didn't allow Abraham, prevented Abraham, and yet allowed his only son to be sacrificed. And look at Psalm 116, a responsorial psalm. I will walk before the Lord in the land of the living. I know this will be sung on Sunday. But it's good you see it here. It makes more sense to you. God has loosed my bonds, and my vows to the Lord I will pay in the presence of all his people. I like the fourth one, the last one, my vows to the Lord I will pay. I put it there to show that when we do our worship with the community. We are asked to worship not alone. We are asked to worship with the community. Look at the second reading. Having heard everything you have heard today, if God is for us, who can be against? Tell me. Who can be against us if God is with us? It is God who acquits us who will condemn. God has already acquitted us. So who will condemn us? Christ Jesus, it is who died, or rather was raised, who also is at the right hand of God. And he intercedes for all of us. Did you know that I have covered these two materials? I have. And I have done the underlinings for you. You don't have to highlight, you don't have to underline. I've done it for you. So we don't need to spend time with this now. How do you like the new style?
Thank you.
I'll give you a chance to really make your notes.
Mm-hmm.
You like it or you don't like it?
You like it. Thank you.
It's better, more effective.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is also transforming. My only motive here is to really, that you know him, that you really know God. Because the more you know him, the more you love him. That much I can attest to. The more you know him, the more you love him. Maybe some of you love him more than I do. That's very possible. I'm a broken person. But being here, we want to make sure that the 2 hours is worth it. And I hope it is. And with all these materials that you have to take home, you can surely do this also. With that one sheet, which I don't have, well, it's on the table. That one sheet will enable you to be able to share this with other people easily, much more than here. Because here you have to see the underlines. The only thing I would call your attention to here is the inspiring articles.
I like the one you wrote.
This one I wrote. This one I wrote. Believe it. Mark 16, Luke 24, and Matthew 28. Pretty much the same. What's the essence here? We all have gifts. We all have ministries. What's your ministry? What contribution do you make towards the kingdom of God? We all have different callings. We all have different contributions. So you see here, a member who does not work at the growth of the body to the extent of his possibilities must be considered useless both to the church and to himself. Sorry, I have to say that. So please don't be useless parts of the body. Don't be useless member of the body. The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. The laborers are few. You know, with this new style I just started today, you can actually replicate the Bible class in your own. On your own, you can do this. With that sheet,